A demon in love is a dangerous thing. After all, our hero is reaching outrageous levels of sentimentality. With our OTP finally in each other's arms and our heroine determined to seize happiness with both hands, the future is looking bright. But as ever, it's not long before things go whirling out of control. After a sensational kiss beneath the sprinklers, there's no awkwardness left between our leads. Still gazing at each other with undisguised wonder, they move back to their apartment and the bedroom. The next morning, Guwon is determined to out-husband every husband ever to husband, or make everyone cringe trying. Do-hee suffers a veritable bombardment of couples' meals, whilst learning firsthand that the devil has a soft spot for tandem bikes. Suan, tailing them with a camera in the hopes of digging up dirt on Do-hee, learns what we've known all along. These two are offensively photogenic. They're also outrageously cute. In between staring at Do-hee with stars in his eyes, Guwon muses that he's grown unexpectedly fond of humanity. It's like adopting one cat, then learning to care for all strays. Whilst vaguely indignant at this comparison, Do-hee has to admit that it's an improvement on Longhorn Beetle. For her part, she reckons Guwon is back to being his original self. Guardian. Or rather, friend, her guardian. When night falls, they slow dance on the balcony to the assassin's signature song, determined to strip it of any nasty associations. If I were Do-hee, I'm not sure I'd ever want to hear a note of it again, but I guess love conquers trauma? Do-hee, who once thought happiness was a fairy tale, let alone love, is now fully committed to making the most of life. That means sacrifice. And so it is with minimal regret that she signs a document to officially renounce her inheritance. Guwon is less than thrilled. As far as he's concerned, his wife deserves love, novelty breakfast platters, and unimaginable wealth. It's all he can do to convince her to at least see the assassin's face. But when Do-hee agrees, Guwon's teleportation powers flicker. Nothing happens. Do-hee has more important things on her mind, namely, sitting down with Secretary Shin and pouring a beer for them both. Badly. My journey, she declares, has come to an end, and letting go was easier than I thought. Overachiever that she is, Do-hee resolves to excel at cutting loose. This leads to both Do-hee and Secretary Shin incandescently drunk, alternating between laughter and tears, whilst Guwon and Bokyu deal with the aftermath. Guwon gives Do-hee a romantic piggyback ride home, and Bokyu gets distracted by the moon before he can stop Secretary Shin from face-planting. An attempt was made. Meanwhile, the wild dogs continue to prove themselves enthusiastic Labradors. Their latest show of loyalty involves a deep clean of the Sunwall building. Sadly, their beloved leader is too busy smirking over the similarity between Dulguppa dogs and Dulkeppa, perilla seeds and scallions, to praise their hard work. No worries, from now on their name will be changed to celebrate Korean cuisine. It takes little persuasion for them to redirect their efforts into tracking down our assassin. Armed with a police sketch, the newly dubbed perilla seeds and scallions go hurtling to the rescue. Granted, this mostly involves terrifying random bystanders into showing their faces, but what they lack in efficiency, they make up for in heart. And also, in the plot twist of all time, results. Our gangsters with a heart of gold point Guwon directly to the culprit. But by the time the police arrive, it's much too late. Earlier, the assassin agreed to meet with the enigmatic Abraxas at his theater hideout. Finally, the camera pans to the face of our leather-gloved mastermind, No Sukmin, and he's smiling. That wide, triangular leer of his will haunt my nightmares, but the assassin doesn't live long enough to regret his life choices. Soon, Sukmin has him cornered, setting the abandoned dressing room ablaze. All that Rime, Ennis of our murderer of all trades, is a charred corpse, with the dagger that injured Guwon embedded in his chest. Guwon takes this for what it is, a warning. Our homicidal friend clearly died because Guwon saw his face, meaning Team Evil are aware of his powers. The bug in his office confirms his fears. There's someone else behind it all. But there are worse revelations at hand. Every single clock in his collection has stopped. As he stumbles into the foyer, he sees scrolls spiraling through the air. Every single one of them burns into ashes before they hit the ground. His contracts have all come unraveled, and every deal he struck, undone. Time for answers. He makes haste to Suknyew, rudely shaking her awake. I see you've become completely human, she observes with relish. He follows her down a surprisingly elaborate staircase into a hidden bar with gambling tables. Here, to his shock, she is treated like royalty. Suspicions growing, Guwon asks her if this is really an appropriate place to talk. With a tongue-in-cheek snap of her fingers, Suknyo causes their surroundings to vanish, replacing them with a desert, a mountaintop, and a beach in quick succession. I can do everything you can, she assures him. After all, I gave you those powers. Because yes, indeed, Suknyo more commonly goes by a different name, God, or the universe. Time, that which is everywhere and everything. Still, even God has her limits. She doesn't govern human choice. She simply sets the rules. And so, even if she wanted to, she couldn't restore Guwon's powers. She didn't take them away to begin with. Now that they are in the wrong body, they will continue to fade until they are gone completely. When they do, Guwon will burn up and disappear. The only way to regain them is to kill their current possessor, Do-hee. There's only one thing worse than being told to murder the love of your life. Returning home half an hour after being told to murder the love of your life, only to find her putting finishing touches on the world's worst cake. He couldn't have caught her looking more adorable. After debating writing Merry Demon on this expertly crafted monstrosity, Do-hee feeds Guwon a bite. Stoically, he insists it's good. She tries some too, only to flinch. It's chock full of salt. Still, she adds cheerfully, if Guwon likes it, there's plenty left. Honestly, I'm with our demon. I'd eat salt by the barrel for Do-hee. Later, mid-cuddle, Guwon breaks the mood a bit by asking Do-hee what she'd do if the world were to end tomorrow. She shrugs. I'd stay at home with you, she says. Sleep in, make silly jokes, we'd etch that last day into our memories. Impulsively, Guwon suggests that they stay up all night, let tomorrow look after itself. And so, they watch a horror movie, throw popcorn at each other, and the chronically overworked Do-hee passes out within the hour. The only thing that scares me, Guwon admits as she dozes on his shoulder, is a world without you in it. Guwon has made up his mind, and God is the first to know. He intends to find a way for them both to survive, and what's more, he's willing to bet on his success. To Do-hee, he suggests that they visit Sokcho and immerse themselves in the water. Maybe if they try again under the full moon, his powers will return. Do-hee, blissfully unaware of the import, suggests they make a honeymoon of it. Meanwhile, our demon prepares for the worst. Certainly, he tells Bok-ju, he doesn't intend to die. There's no question of that, but just in case he does, Bok-ju should look after Sunwol. Alas, herein lies the plan's weakest link. Whilst Guwon tells Bok-ju the full truth, he decides that Ga-young must be kept in the dark. And Bok-ju is constitutionally incapable of lying with a sword at his throat. After learning of Guwon's death-defying scheme in record time, Ga-young calls on Do-hee. Her opening gambit is to hand our heroine several capsules of poison. I beg you, she says, please save Guwon. The only thing you can do for him is die. Luckily, our hero intervenes. Idly, he tells Ga-young he'd warned her not to cross the line. But Do-hee, fleeing the scene, gets confirmation from Bok-ju. If Guwon cannot save them both, he intends to die for her. But here, we take a sharp swerve away from noble idiocy. Do-hee wastes no time. She tells Guwon that she refuses for either of them to die. They'll work it out together, even if they have to take 1,000 ice-cold baths in the sea. Guwon interrupts her with a hug. And so, our heroes honeymoon in Sokcho, sharing a blanket on the beach. When you're reborn as a demon, says Do-hee, I'll make you a proper birthday cake. Sadly, there are complications beyond our hero's control, and far beyond an unlabeled salt shaker. As they snuggle on the beach, Sukmin, with his nightmarish monstrosity of a grin kept mercifully in check, is voted in as chairman of Mirai. However, Do-kyung is MIA, allegedly due to illness. This, according to Suan, is a frequent occurrence, a chilling admission once we learn precisely why he's absent. Turns out Sukmin caught him with a replica of his own phone. His son has been spying on his messages. As punishment, he pressed a branding iron into Do-kyung's forearms, while Sarah wore headphones to drown out his screams. Prove your worth to me, Sukmin demanded. Meanwhile, our second leads have found each other. Bitter meets bland, forming a team of unparalleled resentment. Ga-young reveals Guwon's true identity as demon to Seo-kun, finally putting to rest any lingering vampire-related suspicions. However, she also claims that Guwon specializes in manipulating humans. Do-hee, most of all. Both are hot on our hero's heels. Furthermore, Do-hee has her private doubts. In the evening, when she and Gu-won stop at a service station, she can't help but glance at the poison Ga-young gave her. In the shop, she picks up a postcard. If we end up having to make a cruel choice, she writes, "I'll choose you. Please forgive me for condemning you to the same hell I went through." At this point, she receives a call from So-kun. "You're in danger," he says. "Gu-won intends to kill you." Do-hee refuses to take the bait, hanging up in glorious disdain. Sadly, So-kun is correct. Do-hee is in danger. Lurking in a nearby car, arms still covered in deep welts, is Dak-young. Slamming the accelerator, he plows the car straight into the shop, shattering the window and sending Do-hee flying across the wreckage. Gas ignites. The entire building billows into flame. Ga-young seizes Gu-won before he can plunge in after her. If Do-hee dies, he'll live. All he has to do is look the other way. Gu-won's reply is blunt: "I can't live without her." With that, he walks straight into the fire. Inside, it's a mess of heat and shattered glass. Do-hee lies wounded. Scarcely able to breathe, Gu-won collapses, still inching his way forward. But just as his eyes flicker shut, he manages to brush Do-hee's wrist. Suddenly, miraculously, the cross begins to glow. So-kun and Ga-young watch astounded as two figures emerge from the wreck. Do-hee is prone in Gu-won's arms, both of them without a scratch. As Gu-won places Do-hee gently down, her eyelids flicker. She stirs. Gu-won looks down at her, face brimming with emotion, the tattoo now emblazoned on his wrist. Now that's how you write a love story. Our lead's relationship has been so beautifully believable throughout, and all the more so this week. When these two are being cute and romantic, they still feel so distinct and entirely like themselves. The actors totally sold it. They seemed utterly natural together without any contrived awkwardness. Kim Yoo-jung is pure sunshine. The way she plays Do-hee's delight at being in love makes my heart melt. Meanwhile, Song-kang is endearing one second and resolute the next. He handles the shift with such flair. As ever, I'm sad that Ga-young remains two-dimensional. She feels like a character with potential for depth, but alas, her only function is to be a roadblock for our protagonists. Still, this show remains so fun that I can't stay mad at it. For long. We're going to some interesting places plot-wise. I like the idea of a gambling god, one who sets the rules, but lets chance dictate the outcome. It's the perfect battleground for our risk-taking heroes. With 6 episodes to go, it still feels like there's ample material to cover, and I love that the writers haven't been afraid to let the romantic relationship breathe a bit, instead of saving the confessions for last minute. Here's hoping that when we delve into our heroes' past lives, the writing remains as spiky and imaginative.